What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the second ever episode of Betting the House, powered by the Alithio Network. Once again, I'm Sully. Today's Thursday, and we're going to be running through all things football and hockey futures. But first, I'm going to recap, and even before that, I'm going to give a little gambling warning. So, the following content may discuss topics related to gambling. Gambling can be addictive and is not suitable for all individuals. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. In the U.S., contact the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org for resources and support. Illinois residents can also contact 1-800-426-2537 for local assistance. Please remember to gamble responsibly and be aware of the risks involved. You must be 21 years or older if gambling in Illinois. All right, let's recap Tuesday bets. What to say? I broke even going with my baseball bets. Tuesday's bets were not great. New York lost, got pounded by the Orioles. Twins got pounded by, I believe, whoever they got pounded by. They lost, I think, 4-1. Mariners, Astros, though, under 7.5. They scored 7. It hit. Let's go. -138. Remember? My parlay of the day, only thing that hit in it was Braves -1.5. So Rockies and Diamondbacks both got killed that night. The WNBA, again, not good. Those parlays, if you parlayed them, none of them hit. If you parlayed the Vegas Ace, the Aces money line and Wilson's points and rebounds like I talked about on Tuesday, she was 1 point off from that hitting. 1 point. All right. Wednesday's bets. Houston, miss. Orioles money line hit, though. Mets postponed and Dodgers money line hit. So I'm 3-3. With a postponement on singles and kind of 0 for 3 on parlays. Well, yeah, fast recap. Let's get to the games of the day and the weekend. First up, let's start with some professional football in the NFL. We've got division rivalry games coming up. Thursday night in the NFC East, we've got the Dallas Cowboys going to New York to take on the Giants. Last week's loss to the Ravens was absolutely demoralizing for the Cowboys on the defensive side of the ball. But at least Dak and his passing game finally seemed to find a rhythm in the second half when they were mounting their comeback. Their tight end, Jake Ferguson, was often the number 2 option for Prescott through the air as the season wound down last year. And now that he's coming back from injury, I think he's in a great position to succeed in the red zone. Definitely have him at an anytime touchdown at +220. The Cowboys defense, terrible past couple weeks. After coming in being praised as the number 1 defense to watch out for as the season started, they've just gotten destroyed by the run over the first 3 weeks. Their opponents are averaging 5.4 yards per carry against them and a total of 8 touchdowns in that span. Just last week, we all saw how Derrick Henry and the Ravens absolutely bullied the Dallas defensive line again and again, giving him 274 rushing yards, or Baltimore 274 rushing yards. And while the Giants are nowhere near as explosive as the Ravens in the backfield, I think Devin Singletary has definitely been playing well and racking up 160 yards and 2 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. I think if they continue to use Singletary to relieve the pressure from Jones, he definitely finds the end zone again. So I think for this Thursday night game, you take Ferguson plus 220 and Singletary plus 110 for a 481 parlay. Anytime to score. Hell yeah. Moving over to Sunday and the NFC North, we have the Vikings at Green Bay at noon. Surprisingly, the Vikings are undefeated, but this matchup could definitely help determine what the playoff seeding looks like down the road. While they're having a great season, I'm just not sure they're there yet. You know, Darnold has been impressing everyone at this point in the season, and their offense has been going off even without Addison and Hawkinson. You know, on defense, they've got Flores putting up these back-to-back clinics against these high-powered offenses like San Francisco and Houston, just adding an extra element we haven't seen to a team like this in a couple of years. Other news in that game, Jordan Love is trying to come back and under center for the Packers, and that would instantly make this Green Bay offense one of the best in football. You know, he's been flourishing into one of the best quarterbacks in the league in LaFleur's system, and he's also seen a lot of success, you know, putting up 250 yards, 3 touchdowns against Flores and this defense in their last meeting a season ago. Another huge surprise from this Packers this season. Finally, they have a defense. New defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley instantly improved this unit. That was one of the worst last year. I think Darnold is going to have a little bit of trouble dealing with this aggressive defensive front. It would not shock me if he's rattled, and especially because he's not been good under pressure. I think Green Bay overall -2.5 at -115 odds. Then we go back to the South and the AFC. Huge matchup between Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans, both trying to come back from insane defeats last week. Texans killed 34-7, and the Jaguars were just humiliated by the Bills 47-10, I believe on Monday. Excuse me. They looked terrible in that game. Lawrence barely completed half of his passes this season, while his defense was just getting creamed by Josh Allen. However, I think they both come out firing strong. They both need a win, and it could take them one win out of first place even. Let's move on to our final game in the NFL. The Los Angeles Rams at Chicago to take on the Bears, also at noon. And, you know, the Rams have a lot of injuries, and despite missing their best 2 receivers and half their offensive line, they've just been defying the odds and pulled off a huge comeback last week to stun the 49ers at home. It was absolutely incredible. You know, Stafford and his teammates now got a little swagger with them as they had to take down the Bears. Atwell stepped up to replace Kupp and Nakua, and Kyron Williams, 89 yards, 3 total touchdowns. Insane. Bears rank middle of the pack against the run. So look for him. I have Bears plus 2.5. Caleb Williams trying to get into it. I don't he had a great week last week. I don't think he's going to put it all together because that's what he's been struggling with. Yeah. Like I said, I think Rams plus 2.5, just on the off chance that Caleb does indeed come to play. Let's take a side step and move into the college arena. Saturday, we've got 20 Oklahoma State against 23 Kansas State, 11 a.m. They both lost for the first time this last weekend. Oklahoma State 22-19 by Utah, who was 12 at the time. They're now 10. But Kansas State's was much worse. They lost 38-9 to unranked BYU. It's no secret they love running the ball because even in that 29-point loss, they ran the ball 14 more times than they passed. But they accumulated nearly 230 yards total with 5.3 yards per carry. That kind of production in the ground game could really help them against Oklahoma State's defense, who is not great. They struggled to contain big plays on the ground. 110th nationally in opposing rush explosiveness in non-garbage time. And when the Cowboys have the ball, they always expect to rely heavily on Gordon. Gordon and their rushing attack have struggled, though, this year. He carries the ball at a top 10 rate, but only averages 3.3 yards per carry and is 70th nationally in total rushing yards. Part of that can be attributed to the O-line. Again, so they have to rely more on pass-heavy offense rather than what they want to do, which is run. Overall, I think Kansas State minus 5.5 at 110 odds. I find it tough to trust Oklahoma's offense given it has so many inefficiencies. Moving on to our next game, we've got Ohio State at Michigan State. Ohio State is ranked 3rd. The Buckeyes' first road game this year, and first conference game this year also. They've dominated their first 3 games, but they were against Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall. So you should be beating up on teams like that if you're Ohio State. Quarterback Howard and freshman wide receiver Jeremiah Smith fire together. Their running back, he's amazing. He's a physical back that they've been needing. This Michigan State is coming off a 23-19 loss against Boston College. So, they exchanged haymakers all evening, but it was definitely a defensive game. Moving on to our third and last.
Before we move on, Sully, I do want to just talk about the Ohio game a little bit more. Ahead. Just because, in the last 30 years, the Buckeyes are 18-10 against Michigan.
Sorry.
They're playing Michigan State, brother.
Yeah, Michigan State.
They're playing Michigan State.
Disregard what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Sully, you don't have anything on Alabama taking on Georgia?
Dude, that was the one I totally forgot about.
It's also such a hard game to really bet on. Yeah. Unless you're thinking it's a defensive game or straight offensive game. It's either you smashing the over or you're smashing the under on total points. I personally wouldn't really bet on any players to do much just because
their defense can just step up and shut
literally
anyone down,
There's also Penn State and Illinois too. Illinois is 19 right now.
Damn.
They're doing actually
pretty good.
Off. Yeah. I didn't mean to throw all these games at you that you weren't prepared for.
No, you're good. I'm just,
These are just some good games on the schedule this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your last game?
Arizona takes on number 10 Utah in Utah. at 9:15. Oh, I also in that last Ohio State, I took the over at 48.5 for minus 110 odds. So Arizona, Utah. You know, two new members of this Big 12. They face off tonight in what used to be called Pac-12 After Dark. Yeah, I think they, Arizona is a one-trick kind of offense. They feed the ball to McMillan as often as possible. When they played Kansas State, Kansas State let Arizona throw to McMillan all they wanted, and then they just shut down the rest of the offense. So Arizona gained yards, but they never really scored. So I think Utah employs a similar strategy here, and they probably even bottle up McMillan even more, to be honest. And then Arizona's defense, terrible. Utah's senior quarterback is not playing this week, but they're still going off. If New Mexico can run all over them, why can't Utah, right? I think the Arizona defense gets lit up, and the Utah defense does a whole lot more than enough to shut this Wildcat offense down. Give me Utah minus 11.5 in this one at minus 112 odds. All right, let's move on, I guess, to some completely different sport. Let's take on some NFL futures. The season starts next.
NHL futures?
I'm sorry. Yeah. NHL futures. The season's starting next Friday when the New Jersey Devils take on the Buffalo Sabres at noon. So right now, let's just look into who's going to lift Lord Stanley. I definitely have smashed the Oilers. It's McDavid's time. He's automatically with him. They're automatically in the conversation. Think equivalent of Sid Crosby with the Pittsburgh Penguins. They almost did it last year after coming back, forcing a Game 7 after trailing 3-0, and couldn't close it out. In addition to that, though, since July 1st, free agency started. The Oilers have signed 13 players. Matthias Janmark and Adam Henrique both returned, and they added Jeff Skinner. Stan Bowman came on as the team's new general manager and VP of hockey operations.
Woof.
However, a few notable departures include Vincent Desharnais, Sam Carrick, Warren Fogle, and then the two latest to leave, Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg, both of which went to St. Louis after the Oilers couldn't match their offers. Draisaitl signed the biggest, most lucrative contract in NHL history. Him and McDavid going to tear it up this year. I also noticed, and you'll see this, but I also noticed the Nashville Predators on the list as I was doing some research about this.
Plus 1,600 right now.
Yeah, well, once, after those additions of Steven Stamkos, Marcia So, and Brady Shea, they dropped from plus 3,500 to plus 1,600. They also secured UC Saros for the next 8 years. He's only 29, and he should have at least a few pretty good years left. And even without all of that, they were amazing at one of the best teams down the stretch in last season. Yeah. Let's move on to individual.
Wait, can I give some Stanley Cup?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So if you're looking for like good value, I would say the Vancouver Canucks at plus 2,300 right now to win the Stanley Cup is pretty good. Also Carolina at plus 1,400 is pretty good. The Maple Leafs at plus 1,500 is pretty good. I think there's some room for some of these teams. And then the odds like jump crazy amounts. If you're a local guy and you think the Blackhawks can get it done, which they probably can't, but that's sitting at plus 22,000 right now. But yeah, I like Vancouver. Honestly, those are pretty good odds if you want to get there. They're right in between the Minnesota Wild and the Los Angeles Kings on DraftKings right now. So there's definitely some good value there. I think the Canucks are way better than both of those teams and a lot of the other teams ahead of them. So, sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes here, brother.
No worries, not at all. That's actually, I said I wanted this to be interactive where other people come in and talk. So
I'll
please,
help with the hockey today.
So individual. Let's start off with the Hart Trophy, most valuable player. I think it's locked. I don't even know why. I mean, I'll explain why, but we shouldn't have this conversation. I think it's McDavid at plus 150 odds. And honestly, bouncing off that, I think he also wins most points and the Art Ross Trophy, and those odds are minus 160. I didn't parlay him. You could. Couldn't hurt. He enters this season after winning the Conn Smythe Trophy in his first Stanley Cup appearance. He became the second non-goalie on a losing team to capture one of the most coveted individual awards. The first was Reggie Leach in 1976. Massive favorite as the season approaches. He finished last season with 132 points in 76 games, third behind Kucherov and McKinnon. Fourth player ever to make it to 100 assists in a single season. The only other three were Bobby Orr, Wayne Gretzky, and Mario Lemieux.
That's some good players right there.
Yeah. Insane. Legendary status right there. Legendary company, I guess, would be rather. He went on that insane final streak, 42 points in 25 games. But it still wasn't enough to win it all. And that definitely has to sting. He's scary enough without any extra motivation, but now he has it. He's already won the Art Ross Trophy 5 times, taking it home 3 years straight, 2021 to 23. Only Gretzky, Lemieux, and Gordie Howe have more Art Ross trophies than him now. Yeah.
Calder, Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I was going to do the Rocket Richard Trophy first, but if you want to do Rookie of the Year.
No, do Rocket. Do the Rocket.
It's all, I think what jumped out at me was Austin Matthews, and it's the only futures bet that isn't plus money. It's minus money. It's minus 115 odds for him.
Art Ross for McDavid was minus 160.
Oh, good call. I totally forgot about it, and we just talked about it. It's insane. Is he 26 now or 27? Well, either way, he's young enough, and he's reached the 60 goal plateau in 2 of his last 3 seasons. In his 8 seasons, he has only not made it to 40 goals twice. He scores goals as consistently as his team disappoints in the playoffs.
Oof.
He won 3 out of the last 4 of this Rocket Richard Trophy, with McDavid being the only one to interrupt his dominant run. While there's always a chance for someone else to win, this is clearly Matthews' award to lose. Besides David Pastrnak and Leon Draisaitl, no one has come near Matthews' recent goal-scoring exploits.
So the over-under on Austin Matthews' goals right now is set at 55.5.
Really?
Yeah.
I might. That might be something we talk about next time.
Yeah, it's pretty even though right now.
Really?
Yeah. Minus 114 for both sides. So.
Okay. Well, we definitely pump up that. We make it maybe over under 60.
I think you could even set it at over 65.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's just been going off.
Yeah, you could score 70 this year for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, let's move into rookies, I guess, with the Calder Memorial Trophy. I was surprised that Macklin Celebrini and Michkov were same odds at plus 370. Like Celebrini, it was clear he was going number 1. At Boston University, 32 goals, 64 points, and won the Hobie Baker Award. He's needed right away in this Sharks franchise that finished with terrible points, 77, 60, and then 47 points in the last 3 seasons. They haven't made the Stanley Cup playoffs since losing to the Blues in the 2019 Western Conference Final. I think that starts to change with Celebrini there on the West Coast over there. You know, and then for Michkov, you know, even though Bedard, again, was the prize jewel of that 23 draft, the Flyers definitely got themselves a pick at number 7 with him, and he's definitely going to be ready this year. He's 19. He's leaving the KHL, signed his rookie deal. What was helped him, I think, was in the KHL, he played a lot of older competition, you know, when he was playing at St. Petersburg and at Sochi, scoring 19 goals and 22 assists in 47 games.
Those are pretty good numbers.
Yeah. I think, you know, the Flyers need help throughout their lineups, so I think he falls into an immediate, almost like top 6 role and has some power play time as well, to be honest.
I know this is a betting show, but to get into the hockey side of things a little bit, I hear his boots are a little slow. The skating might be a bit of an issue for
really?
Michkov.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to jump in a little bit just with some other people I like in this Calder Trophy. I mean, Cutter Gauthier and Will Smith, also Macklin Celebrini's teammate on the Sharks, Will Smith, both at plus 500 is pretty good. Lane Hudson at plus 700 is pretty good. Rucker McGroarty and Maverick Bourque. I don't know what kind of season Maverick Bourque is going to have, nor do I know what kind of season Rucker McGroarty is going to have. But Rucker McGroarty, especially if he's playing on the Penguins this year, he's getting time with, like, you know, Malkin, Sid, those kinds of players. He could definitely put up a lot of points and be really effective. Same kind of issue with McGroarty, though, as Michkov with the skating. Yaroslav Askarov at plus 4,000. If he plays 65 games or 60 games, let's say, with the Sharks this year, even 55, and he puts up, you know, like a 915, seeing a lot of rubber, that could be a case. You know, going even further down the list. I actually talked on my show today on Good Morning Hockey about to Chase Beardsley about Josh Doan maybe contending for the Calder. Seems like a bit of a long shot, and FanDuel would agree at plus 10,000. But if you're looking for a long shot for the Rookie of the Year race, I would sprinkle a little bit of money on Josh Doan and maybe on Bradley Nadeau too. So those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think, you know, especially with rookies, it's so hard to judge that kind of stuff because it's like, you know, coaches can sit them, do what, you know, whatever.
Some guys could not even play. Some guys could be sent down to the minors.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that's why I didn't want to have a pick ready for that until next week, Thursday, right before the season starts.
But I think like a lot of people do, even like Stanley Cup futures, like a lot of these futures, is people will put like 7 of them down.
Yeah, and they'll just pay off. You know, if you hit any one of them, you just have, you know, the right odds that if you hit any of them, it pays you more than what you've just spent on 7 of them.
Yeah, so like I might put down like 5 or 6 different Calder ones. Yeah. Just because it is so wide open and it could be anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, you could honestly, there's an argument for the same thing in the Vezina Trophy here next, because Hellebuck, Swayman, and Shesterkin all at plus 600 odds. You know, Hellebuck is the reigning champion. It's his second. He won the one last year. He's trying to become the first back-to-back winner since Martin Brodeur accomplished the feat in 2007 and 8. He finished last season with 33.1 goals saved above expected, more than 11 better than second place Demko. You know, second most wins at 37, best save percentage for a goalie who had more than 30 starts, 0.921. Third best goals against average with a minimum of 40 starts, 2.39, and tied for second most shutouts at 5. Swayman, I like Swayman, but I think it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to
not having a contract
leaving
and not having a contract.
That too, yeah. You know, he's a professional and he can stop the puck, and you know, he was amazing in the playoffs. allowing more than 2 goals in just 3 out of the 12 games he played in. You know, his regular season numbers were impressive, finishing 43, 25, and 10, 2.53 goals against, and a .916 save percentage. You know, it was kind of no wonder Allmark decided to leave. He was like, I'm not going to play here, you know? So, yeah. Anyways, moving on to Shesterkin. You know, constantly one of the best in the league. Last year, he was comparatively subpar compared to what we've known him as. So I think he's highly motivated for a bounce-back season, especially because he becomes an unrestricted free agent following this season. A lot of players, you know, play their best hockey when that time comes for contract extension talks. You know, he doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. I think he just has a lot of reasons to constantly show his best this upcoming season. You know, another Vezina caliber season would definitely give the Russian more leverage when it comes to putting ink to paper on this new contract. I also noticed, you know, Sorokin at plus 900, Demko at plus 1,000. I think
They're both hurt right now.
they are? Okay.
Yeah.
That I did not know. Gotcha. Maybe not.
Demko might be out the whole year.
Woof.
Sorokin will probably be back soon, but I don't know. He had back surgery.
Okay. Yeah, any other ones you found that might have good value on there?
Any good goalies? Let me look, actually. I like different guys. I'm just kind of curious as to what they're pegged at on these.
Yeah.
On these odds here. You know, Hellebuck's a good bet always. I know you're not going to get good odds there, but I just am trying to FanDuel trying to give me a survey right now. Hold on. Let's see what we got here, fella. Goalies. Yeah, I mean, you know, my God, I clicked on the wrong thing. Yeah, Jacob Markstrom at a plus 1,100 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky at plus 1,200 is pretty good. I don't know that, you know, Bobrovsky's going to win it. Not that he couldn't. I just don't think he will. Joseph Wall of the Leafs at plus 4,000 is pretty good. I think he's going to, you know, he was really good in the playoffs, and this is his first season as a full-time starter in the NHL, so it's more about if he can stay healthy, then he'll certainly pile up the wins and look good while doing it. So that's a good one. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I got as far as these go. Yeah, I don't know really who else is gonna, you know, Arturs Shilovs is plus 20,000. That'd be kind of wild if Vancouver's gonna be good. Yeah, I mean, if Thatcher Demko's out and he's really good, maybe you know you could cash in there. I guess something that's surprising to me is Aiden Hill being as high as he is at plus 2,500. You know, I know he's a Stanley Cup champion now with the Vegas Golden Knights, and I just don't know that he's able to be that guy. I think Vegas has always been a goaltending by committee kind of guy, so I would never put a Vegas goaltender even that high in the odds. You know, maybe UC Saros could be a pretty good bet, but yeah, I think you got a good handful of guys that really are probably going to be the ones to contend for this trophy. Maybe a few outside guys, but it's probably the big dogs always in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, moving on to the defensive player of the year, the James Norris.
Well, it's not the defensive player. It's a defenseman. Well, it's funny. I mean, this is a hockey conversation for another day, but you know, the way they handicap the way you could handicap this trophy, it's like it's like the Heisman now a little bit. Feels like the Heisman just goes to the best quarterback on the best SEC team. You know what I mean? Like on the SEC team that has a perfect record or whatever. The Norris always seems to go to the guy that has the most points from the back end. So it's to me more of like an offensive defenseman of the year.
I got you.
You know, you had Quinn Hughes winning it last year, and Quinn Hughes was awesome, but you know, I don't know. I think it was like the eye-popping point totals that did it. Same thing with Erik Karlsson the year before. He had 101 on a brutal Sharks team, and I think that was a big reason why he won the Norris, was just because it was so many points. Yeah, what do you got though?
Top odds was Cale Makar at plus 280. Even though he fell short, he's still in it this year. He's the most fluid skating D-man in the NHL, arguably. So there's no surprise if he's gonna start accumulating these trophies as his career keeps going. He's not, he's not a shoo-in for it by any means, but I think he could claim his second Norris if he avoids injuries and plays like he knows how to.
The Cale Makar points over under is 87.5, which is wild.
Yeah.
First of all, point per game from the back end. But I've heard people say that Cale Makar could score 30 goals this year too. There's no goal prop for Cale on FanDuel, but
okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking Norris, that's probably your guy. Any of those top three guys, Norris or Fox, Hughes, Makar.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Hughes might have something to say about Makar winning, and then I had a player to watch was kind of Heiskanen, at plus 1,300, and
that's a good call.
I also noticed Yossi's odds shorten, meaning get better, and drop to plus 1,200 or raise to plus 1,200, especially after the Predators, thanks to their free agent. They improved their Stanley Cup odds. It improved everyone's odds, So just, watch out for that. Next, Jack Adams Award for Coach of the Year. Favorite, even after getting kicked out by the Leafs, was Sheldon Keefe. He's the favorite right now with his new team, the New Jersey Devils. He's plus 700 odds, just in front of other frontrunners like Travis Green, Andrew Brunette, Chris Knobloch, and Craig Berube. I think I said
Berube.
Berube. And, their respective odds are 800, 900, 1,100, and 1,200. I think if Keefe can turn these Devils around, I think he can easily win it. They were terrible. They were terribly disappointing last season. So if he can get them back to their success from the year before that, I think he has a chance, and he's got Markstrom in goal, so he's already got a bona fide G back there stopping shots. Knobloch takes control at the start of the season for the first time after landing the job a month into last season, so it's good to see him so shortly rise to that kind of prestige, and and then Berube, replaces Keefe in one of the hottest chairs in the league. So I'm interested to really see how he handles it, how the Leafs do. Hopefully they finally make it out of round one.
You're just taking jabs at the Maple Leafs today, huh? So NHL fantasies, defenseman point projections, just because I brought it up. I know you're talking coaches right now. But Cale Makar is projected by NHL Fantasy to have 95 points. So maybe take the over, but they're also projecting Evan Bouchard to have 90 points.
Yeah.
So that would be more than they have Quinn Hughes, Roman Josi, and Adam Fox all scoring. So I don't know about that. But 95 points for Cale Makar. You should slam the over, whatever it is.
Good to know. And that is an available prop bet or futures bet, I guess, on FanDuel.
What, the point total?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I would suggest looking out for that, smashing that, because that'll probably hit also. I mean, that's all I had to say about Coach of the Year. I mean, I don't have much, some of these guys are new faces. I'm just interested to see how they bring their teams back from whatever performance they had last season, just going forward. And I guess let's finish it off with the Selke Trophy. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, you did.
All right.
Confidence is half the game here, brother.
Yeah. Barkov is at 1 with the best odds. Matthews at 2. There's a noticeable gap in this. Barkov's odds are plus 175 and Matthews are plus 750. You know, after an amazing regular season, Barkov helped lead the Panthers to the Eastern Conference Finals and then eventually the finals and win it. You know, as his two-way presence is absolutely unmatched. He won it 3 years ago and then again this year with a total of 165 first-place votes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been tied to this award ever since he came into the league, and now he's been a finalist 3 times. Dominant in the face-off circle, isn't careless with the puck, and he gives his team opportunities to win every game. You know, if you're looking at offensive output, he definitely helps chip in. You know, 80 points in 73 games this past season. Incredible as a D-man.
Barkov?
Yeah.
Center, brother.
I'm sorry, Jesus Christ. That's what I meant. Yeah, I was mixing him up with someone else. Ignore that. Center, yes.
The Selke is the best defensive forward, so he can't play defense.
That's right. Yeah.
Win the Selke.
Yeah, and of course, Austin Matthews wouldn't be on here either. Yeah, let's talk Austin Matthews for this trophy too. You know, fantastic year with the Leafs. Everyone loves his goal scoring ability.
He's a two-way guy, though.
Yeah, he is a favorite for the Rocket Richard, like we talked about earlier. But there's so much more than just scoring goals. I think. You know, he finished last season with a plus-minus of plus 31. You know, it's worth paying attention to. It might not respect that stat category, but it's worth paying attention to. You know, second in the NHL in takeaways with 85, whereas Barkov only had 61.
Imagine how many takeaways he'd have in the AHL.
And just every single one.
Yeah.
It's just like, no one scores because he just takes it away. And this one didn't really come up as much. I had to dive a little bit for this, but he won the 17 most face-offs last year, which isn't terrible, but when you think of him, you don't think of him winning face-offs. You know, his face-off winning percentage is decent. Yeah, I think you know, you want a safe bet, obviously Barkov, but you want to make some bands, you look Austin Matthews or better odds, you know?
Yeah, let me see what else you got here or what else is on here with some of these guys. Just because you know, like if the Kings have a really big season, then Kopitar could maybe challenge for something like this. It just really feels like it's Barkov's trophy to lose.
Yeah.
Oh, they have Nico Hischier on here and Rupe Hintz, which are both really. Rupe Hintz is a really good pick at plus 1,600. You know, Jordan Stahl's at plus 1,900. I don't think he really gets it done though. You know, this is such a center dominant trophy too. That I think the last winger to win it was Jerry Lettinen. But if there were to be a winger to win it, it could potentially be Austin's teammate, Mitch Marner. Yeah, I wouldn't hate that pick. You know, Jason Robertson's on here too. I think he has a little bit more growth in his game before he gets there. Joel Eriksson-Ek is kind of like a Barkov light, but he's just not on a good enough team, I think, to get enough attention for this trophy. A fun pick is Sam Reinhart on here. I don't know that a lot of people really think about him like that. At plus 3,800, I don't know that a lot of people think of him as like a Selke guy, but he totally could be. You know, it's just some of these guys that are like right there. Like Anthony Cirelli could do it, Nick Suzuki could do it. I guess I just think they're a little bit far off. But Hischier and Hintz would be, you know, if Barkov doesn't win it or if Barkov is injured or, you know, I don't think the Panthers are going to have a down year, but yeah, Hischier and Hintz would be two good picks as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I've got. Anything that jumps to mind, Tassos, that we're obviously missing?
Nah, brother, you hit it on the head.
All right, hell yeah. Well, like I said, that's all I've got today. Tassos, thanks for joining us, giving us some of your picks, some advice. You know, you can find us live next Tuesday to talk more baseball and basketball, and next Thursday to see the completed NHL futures parlay.
Check out our other shows too.
Yeah, as well as next week's football bets.